Hi, this is Shay, and welcome to the So She Did podcast, the place to be for inspiration, motivation, and creating the life you love. And today I have a very special guest. I have Teresa Paskins, who is the owner of Treesy's Catering. She is a mother, a grandmother, and one of the best cooks that I have ever eaten food from. So thank you so much, Treesy, for being on the show.
It's actually an honor and a privilege to be here today.
You're so extra, yo.
So excited.
All right. So, Tracy, tell us about yourself and how opening and owning Treesy's Soul Food Cafe, which is the best soul food that I have ever had. And I'm not the only person that has said
Oh,
that. So if y'all never had Treesy's Soul Food, I'm gonna need y'all to, get a platter or something from her, especially her mac and cheese. The best mac and cheese, hands down, that I have ever had to this day. Nobody's mac and cheese is touching Treesy's mac and cheese. And if you think that you are, you're fooling yourself. Anyway, tell us about yourself, Treesy, and how opening and owning Treesy Soul Food Cafe came about.
so I'm a mother of two, Jasmine and Buddy, as we call them. And I have two wonderful grandchildren, Harlem and Taj. Um, my mother, grandmother, sister, all of that. And all of that I really take to heart. It's like really one of the things that I really love about my life, and um, that I just get to, be around family, because family is really important to me. It's the most important part to me. Basically, it's really the reason why I do what I do. It's the reason why I get up every day and continue to do what I do. And just a little short background, I kind of worked retail for, whew, I'm going to say about 37 years before I opened Treesy's.
Mm.
And I got laid off from the same job twice. And the second time I got laid off, I kind of started doing just some prepared meals for people. And then people started asking me to cater. So let me backtrack. I did always do family functions. So I always did family functions. So um, any weddings that were done in the family, like back in the day, you know how you kind of just, we did everything. So we
Mm-hmm.
decorated, we did food, we did all of that. So everybody that got married in my family, I've done their wedding, with the exception of maybe one person, but almost everybody I've done their wedding. So I was kind of the hostess was the mostest all the time. And I kind of enjoyed doing that. I did all the family holidays. Everybody was always at my house. And a little way along the way, I was living in Delaware and I was married. And my ex husband used to give me $100 to do food shopping for the whole month.
What?
Yes, $100 to do food shopping for
Oh
the
my
whole month.
goodness.
And I had to make it work. So you know how some people eat out all the time. We didn't eat out. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time. I did 3 meals a day, and that $150 stretch. Now, sometimes with the mother and the family that I come from, they did, step up and get
Mm-hmm.
money or drop off food or whatever. But I just learned to be really creative with it. And then when me and my ex husband separated, I found cooking to be my stress relief. So it kind of just relieved my stress. And I would just get in the kitchen and I would start cooking. It was my happy place. So, go back to about, staying home for 5 years with the kids. I didn't want to stay home. I really wanted a career. So I went back to work. And my job was retail management. And at some points, I had over 500 employees. Some points, I had 15 employees. So I kind of just thought, how hard would it be to run a restaurant when I ran $1 million companies? How hard could it be to run a little building? On this journey, you're going to find out how hard it really is to run it. Like, I manage somebody else's money, but to manage your money and to manage your building and to try to do everything on your own is a totally different ball game.
Yeah.
What I learned very quickly with Treacy's is that you can't do it all on your own. You need people to help you to do that, and you need the right people at the right place at the right time. So it just really, Treacy's came out of, I had gone to look at the building. I looked at the building 2 years prior to getting the building. And I told the person that had taken me, the realtor, that, he asked me how much did I want to pay. I told him how much I wanted to pay. I told him I wanted a 3-year lease, and I wanted everything included. And at that point, he said, "Oh, well, you're never going to get it for that because it was 2 times the amount of what I wanted." And I said,
Mm.
"Oh, okay, whatever." So, I will drive by the building every once in a while and, look at it or whatever. And in the summer of 2014, 15, my pastor said to me, "Sister Teresa, the Lord said that there's a window of time for you. Go get your building. It's a window, and it's a very short window of time. So go get your building." I was laid off. I had no idea how I was going to purchase a building. I had no money, no savings because I was laid off. I had actually sold my house and moved in with my parents, built onto their house, and had a room. Me and my daughter were there because my son was away, and so living with my parents actually afforded me to be able to open and live my dream. And
Mm.
at that point, when he said that, I thought to myself, he's crazy. Like, I don't have any money. But in the back of my head, I was like, okay, God, I'm going to trust you. So the landlord called me. No, the realtor called me on like 2 days before Christmas. And he said, "Are you still interested in the building?" And I said, "Yes, I'm still interested in the building." He said, "Well, they've agreed to your terms." Now, mind you, I hadn't talked to this man in over a year. He said, "Well, they agreed to your terms." And I was like, "What?" And I was, at the time, I was laying in the bed sick. And I was like, "What?" And I remember sitting up and I'm like, "What? They agreed to?" He said, "Everything that you asked for, they agreed to it. They agreed to the 3-year lease when they wanted a 7-year lease. 3 years, remember this, remember 3 years is really important in this." Um, so I said, "Okay." He said, "So when can you meet me to sign the papers?" I said, "I can meet you tomorrow to sign the papers." So I met him the next day. He was like, "Okay, you need the money?" And I was like, "What money?" Like, I needed the down payment and I didn't have the down payment. And I just made a couple of phone calls, and, family and friends were all aboard because they really supported me. They believed in my vision, they believed in my dream. And they just wanted to support me. So I got the money for the down payment. We have the down payment for the place. We need equipment, we need food, we need repairs. So that was on, um, I got the keys to my place on December 31st. Um, and we opened in April of that the following year. I believe so. Right, Shay? Because
I think it was
you worked
April.
back then. Yeah. So back then, and then people just came out of nowhere. People that, that I didn't even know needed jobs. People at the time just, I guess, really just wanted to support me. And I'm so grateful for that, my staff was built. And my dad, who doesn't give anybody anything, doesn't sign for anything at all, actually signed for me to get my equipment. He said, "Oh, we can go and see if it'll go through, but it probably won't go through." And when it went through, he was like, "Okay, it's yours." And so I got all the equipment that I needed, the repairs that needed to be done. I got just like little things. Like, my mom was there every day, like just doing things we needed. I think the last thing that we needed was the hood, the exhaust system, and the fire safety and all that kind of stuff. And she said, "Oh, I knew somebody." And she came back, she had the fire extinguisher, she had somebody to come to do the work on it. I mean, I couldn't have done it without my family. Like, my family and my friends really stepped up, and I thank God for all of that. So we got into the business. It was great. We were running. Obviously, I started with already in a deficit because I didn't, like I said, I didn't have the funds to do it. And God really provided, like, everything that we needed. He really, really, really provided. Customers were coming from out of nowhere. And as you say, like, it was always always great to hear people say how good the food was. So that was, the good thing. A lot of obstacles because running a your own company and running somebody else's company where you're using their money is totally different from doing yours. And you know and having employees, because you got employees that you have to pay.
Hmm.
And people had told me how many employees I needed, so I had beefed up my staff. So I think at one point we had like 20 employees. Definitely too many employees to be working, because you have to pay payroll, and that definitely um, wasn't doable. And if you're already starting with the deficit, you're working for it. So that's kind of how Tracy's was formulated. And I remember around the third year, again, Pastor said, Tracy, Sister Tracy, you need to start looking for another building. And I was like, looking for another building? Like, I don't want another building. I love this building. Like, I'm not ready to go yet. Um, and another gentleman came in and he said to me, I have a place. He said, if you want the place, you can have it whenever you want it. He said, it's already furnished. You don't need anything. You just need to move. And I was like, no, I'm good. Like, again, I'm good. I don't need it. And going into that fourth year, the business really started to struggle, and I started struggling. I was sick all the time, and it just got really, really, really hard for me. And I just kept on praying to God, like, God, you gave me this building. Like, I know you did this. Like, why would you take it away when I know that this is what you're giving me? This is a part of my ministry. Like, why would you take it? And I just kept on thinking, like, he's not going to do that. And going into the fifth year, that summer, I had a mild stroke, and the doctor said to me, like, you really need to, lay back and relieve some of that stress. And your job is causing. He basically said your job is causing all of the stress, and you either need to give it up or you need to get some more help. I'm like, he's crazy. He don't understand that that's where I go to get my stress relief. And I started changing into a different person too. So that's what, kind of helped me come to a couple of decisions. Like, I'm not, what you see right now is really what you get. I'm not a screamer. I'm not a yeller. I'm not uh, a slave driver. Like, I'm just not like that.
Yeah.
And I started finding myself like every day, like one of the employees was making me mad. And I was like, yelling at employees, and customers were getting on my nerves. And I'm like, where something is going on. And I remember going there on December 13th of 2019. And I was just crying. I was overwhelmed. And I'm like, Lord, how am I going to pay the bills? Like, customers, the business just wasn't the same. And I was like, okay. So I went there and I was praying, again, because, whenever I went there and prayed, it was like supernatural miracles happened. And I'm like, okay. So I went in the bathroom. And as I went in the bathroom, and I'm crying and pouring out my heart, and like the ugly cry, like, like all of
Yeah.
that. And I went in the bathroom and I prayed. And as I got done praying, I said, Lord, whatever you want to do, it's in your hands, and like, do whatever it is that you want to do. And when I walked out of the bathroom, as I was walking down the hallway, it felt like weights was lifting off my back, because all
Wow.
I heard was, it's time to close. And I was like, what? Like, at first it kind of startled me, like, what? But I was like, okay, I'm just going to trust you. I'm going to trust you, because obviously you have something better for me. And as every step I took, it felt like every weight fell off of me. It was just like, when they say, and I never experienced it that way before, but when they say that he will give you perfect peace,
Hmm.
he will give you perfect peace, because I no longer worried about it. I came out, I called my mom, I called my daughter, I called, my best friends, I called everybody that, I needed to call. And I told them I was closing Treesy's. Everybody was kind of startled, like, really? But, a lot of people really understood, like, this for the best for your health. And I remember calling my pastor, and he said, you're doing what? And I told him, and he was very, like, very upset. He was like, are you sure that's what you're doing? Are you sure? And I was like, yes, like I'm fine. I'm really good with it. Like, and later on I found out he said that he was really, really like upset, but because I had perfect peace about it, he just couldn't understand that because that's normally like me. Like I was at that point, I had been stressing so much. And who would have known that 3 months later that the pandemic
Yep.
was going to hit? God had all of that orchestrated from the beginning, and I didn't see it at all. I just couldn't imagine right now running a restaurant with all that is going on. Three other places in the center have gone out of business because of the pandemic. Now, mind you, I didn't have to be forced out of the business. Like I chose to close the
Yep.
business. Like I waited, like again, and being disobedient, because my problems didn't start until going into my fourth year. The Lord said a
3 years.
3-year lease.
Yep.
And disobedience, and when you're disobedient to what the Lord tells you, then he causes all kind, but not causes, he allows you to have to walk through. I went through so many problems I didn't have to go through. I could have probably been in another building with, like I said, with the man that said, it's yours, you can have it whenever you want it. But because of what I thought I wanted, and I just kind of just did what I wanted to do. So like anybody out there listening, if the Lord tells you something, do what he say do. Like he was very specific when I wrote my business plan. I went back and I reviewed my business plan, and so many things in my business plan I did not follow, because once I got into the business, it was so overwhelming that I didn't even think about the other things. All I thought about was day-to-day functions and not
Mm-hmm.
worrying about what he had gave me. He gave me the blueprint, he gave me the vision, he gave me the guide to do that, and it was all in black and white. When I go back and I read that now, I'm like, oh, I was supposed to do this. I was supposed to do that. Like 3 years was supposed to be it. 3 years I was
Yep.
supposed to be on to my next building. And because of disobedience, I didn't. And then, the sickness and like all of that stuff kind of happened. So, it was really a journey, but I don't look at it as a failure. I look at it as definitely a learning experience,
Yeah.
and definitely uh, power and wisdom to come back bigger and stronger than we were before.
That's awesome. That's an amazing testimony. And I do want to touch on two things that you spoke about. The first one being community, because throughout the entire time you were telling your story, the main thing that kept coming up was your community of family and friends
Hmm.
around you that were able to hold you up during those times when you needed them the
Hmm.
most. And I think that that's so important in life in general, but especially if you're going to go into business. You need to make sure you have like-minded people and you have
Yes.
positive people in your corner rooting for you, when you're going to step out on in faith and
Right.
do something. And the second thing that I wanted to touch on was faith. One of my favorite quotes is "Be scared, but do it anyway." And I feel like you are like the poster child of "Be scared, but do it anyway," because you're not afraid to go to God and be like, "Listen, like I'm petrified right now, but if
Right.
if that's what you say, do, then all right, let's roll with it. Let's just do it." I mean, what's the worst that can happen if you in my corner? God is our undefeated champion. So, you know, just having that knowledge in the back of your head, even if you're scared, go ahead and do it anyway. You didn't have the funds for it. You were laid off. You gave them these crazy, outrageous terms
Hmm.
that even the realtor was like, girl, bye. They will
Right.
never. And then for him to just out the blue, just call you a year later to be like, yeah, they said it's good. When can you come sign the
Hmm.
papers? That's because you had faith. And even faith the size of a mustard seed, y'all, just the size of a mustard seed can move mountains. So just put your trust in God. So
And
what
can I
is
just say something really quick?
yeah.
And we went there, and I got, like you said, your community, the people that support you, my pastor, um, my mother, my father, my I don't even think my daughter was there, and like my friends, and we literally went in there and we prayed in there and we claimed it as our building. Like this is where we are going to be. And that's what God did. Like we went there, we cleaned it. I was like, I didn't even look for any place else. Like I looked at like that was the last building I looked at, and I didn't have to look at it anymore. And I just waited on God
Mm,
and trusted that He was going to do it.
that's right. And that's another thing. That's another thing right there, waiting on God. Sometimes
Hmm.
you have to be patient and wait. She waited a whole year. She waited a whole year. If she would have just
Yep.
listened to self, she would have ran and just found the first thing that she could find just to be able to say, I have a building and I have my
Right.
own spot. But she didn't do that. She waited. So another thing is patience. You have to be patient and wait on God. And when He tells you to move, that's when you're supposed to move. So,
Hmm.
what's the advice that you would give to somebody who wants to start a business? What is some tangible advice that you could give them?
The most important is that you definitely have to have faith. You have to be willing to work hard. Um, you can't be, and I don't see myself as a uh like superhero,
Hmm.
but you have to be strong. You can't be easily broken, because it will break you, it will tire you, you will. And then when they say, like, if at all possible, when they say you need 6 months, well, actually, when you're writing a business plan, you're supposed to have a year and a half of money to handle everything. It really is true. Like you really do need it. It definitely would help. And then not to try to do it all on your own, because small
Mm.
business owners think that they could do it all on their own, and you can't do it on your own. And total trust in God and being obedient to what He tells you when He tells you to do it.
Yeah, I'm starting to learn it myself about not being able to do it on my own. I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I at least need a virtual assistant or something,
Mm-hmm.
because this is
Mm-hmm.
getting crazy. So I totally agree with that part.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could go back and before you opened Treesy's, if there was one thing that you could change and do differently, what would it be?
I would have listened to my dad when I was 18 years old, and he told me to save $20 every week out of every paycheck. I would have definitely had listened to him, because I really think that um, that was that is the most important like piece that I think I was missing, that I didn't have the financial backing to stand on. So definitely, when they tell you that you need that, you really do need it. And if I could change it, I would go back and change just my financial aspect of the way that I lived,
Hmm.
just in everything. If I can tell, and I'm constantly telling my children now, we need financial literacy. Like I gave my kids everything that they wanted, but did I teach them
Mm.
how to save money and create a future? And I'm 55 now, and now I'm like, I need to save for the future. Well, I could have been doing that at 18 when my dad told me that, with $20, like really. And I thought to myself, oh, $20, like what am I'm gonna have time to do that. I had a 401k, I had
Hmm.
all of that. I'm like, oh, I'll get that. The Fendi bag was more important to me than that. The $300 dress was more important. Now, do I have that? I do have one Fendi bag left, but I don't. Like, what do I have to show for it? Like, if
Yep.
I would have saved like he told me to, I would have it today.
Financial literacy is so important, and especially before you start a business, even if you're able just to take some classes online
Mm-hmm.
or at least go on YouTube University. That's what I like to call it, because I learned everything from YouTube. If
Mm-hmm.
you're able to get on YouTube and even just watch, just hours of just different, financial literacy information from finance gurus or people who are billionaires and stuff like that, do
Mm-hmm.
it, because it's
Yes,
worth it.
it's
Definitely do
very
it.
worth it.
The
Yes.
first year of your business is what makes or break you, and you need to be able to make it. And the only way you're going to make it is by knowing what you're doing with your finances. That's
Mm-hmm.
like the core
Mm-hmm.
of the business. That's the whole reason behind
Mm-hmm.
the business. I mean,
Yep.
other than, the gratification that you get from having your business. And I know for you, it's ministry. I know that Treesy's for you wasn't just a business, but it was
Right.
also ministry. So can you touch on that? Why was it ministry to you to not only feed people naturally, but also spiritually when they came into Treesy's? I know when I read reviews, like when I read reviews online, or even forget reviews, when I used to work there, because I was like one of the first employees at Treesy's. So when
Mm-hmm.
I used to work there, people would come in and they'd be like, "Oh, you playing gospel music?" Like, or they would walk in and
Mhm.
be like, "Oh, the vibe in here is just so nice."
Mhm.
They'd be like, "Oh my," like they'll walk in there, they'll just be like, "It just feels so different in here." And I used to just smile every time somebody said that.
Mhm.
I'm like, because I know why. But why was it also ministry for you and not just business?
Because I think most of all because it was from my heart, like it was what I lived and what I wanted people to be able to see. And because I worked in corporate America, I had to not, there were so many times when I had to take people in my office and encourage them. Well, it's my building, I can do whatever I want to do.
Yep.
I can tell you about the love of Christ without even telling you that. There you go into buildings and music is blasting, they're cursing every other word. Well, this is my building. I can do what I want to do. I can play the gospel music when I want to play it, however long. I know I don't have to answer anybody's questions.
Yep.
Um, and I think because like there's so many people that are hurting, like people came in and they would be like, I come here to find peace, or I come here to find solace. I come here because I know that I'm going to be greeted. I just feel like, um, it's a prayer waiting for me when I walk in the door. I mean, we've prayed with people in the middle of the restaurant.
Yep.
There's employees that needed prayer. People would come in and they would offer prayer. And I'm very hesitant about who I allow to speak over me. And there were some people that really came in that really were just like, they were on point and they would share, what the Lord had given them. And they were like, "Can we pray?" Yeah, we can pray. Because there were so many places where I couldn't do that.
Hmm.
And I'm like, just my whole vision was to be able to speak life not only into people as they're, I wanted to heal their body as they're eating the food. So we would pray over the food as we were eating, or like we were making it. So to heal bodies, to mend broken hearts, to join families closer together. That was just my whole purpose. It wasn't really so much about making money, although yes, I wanted to make money, but at the end of the day, I wanted to reach souls. I wanted to, and not not blatantly reach souls, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
not you're not living right or you're going to hell. No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. I didn't have to say anything half the time. Like you said, people walked in and they already experienced it. And that wasn't even, I mean, some people couldn't pinpoint it, but
Hmm.
it wasn't even like a blatant in your face, like, we're saved, this is what we do. So it was like a kind of an unspoken ministry. And I just thought that that was really, really, really important to be able to do that.
I know that when I worked there, we used to pray before every shift. Before we
Mm-hmm.
opened the doors, we used to pray
Mm-hmm.
as a group. And on Sundays, it was like a ritual for all of New Covenant to like come after,
Uh-huh.
well, most of New Covenant to come after service, and they would be eating there, and I would be working, and Pastor would be there, and we would, and because he was there, we'd be like, "All right, let's pray." But we would have customers outside waiting, and you'll be
Mm-hmm.
like, "No, go unlock the door and see if they want to come in for
Mm-hmm.
prayer." We'd go unlock
Mm-hmm.
the door, and piles of people, like the line of people,
Mm-hmm.
everybody just coming in. It's this huge
Mm-hmm.
group of people, like 30
Right.
people, like all uncomfortable standing around, but we're holding hands in prayer. And those are like moments
Mm-hmm.
that I don't think that I'll ever forget.
Mm-hmm.
Because with you like being my boss at, like, that was like my first job that I actually enjoyed. And I like
Mm-hmm.
wanted to come to work. Like I was excited to come to work because I knew that I was going to be around, a group of people who were also like-minded like me, who
Right.
served God, but we had employees that didn't. But I knew
Mm-hmm.
the atmosphere was going to be different from
Right.
any other place that I worked at. And like
Right.
that was like the main thing that I look forward to when I was
Mm-hmm.
working there.
Hmm.
So
And
let's
that's the general consensus of like anybody that has worked there.
yeah.
That's what they say, that they enjoyed their job, and not only did they enjoy their job, that they knew that even for the people that weren't saved, or had never known anything about Christ, like they would be like, when they were going through something, they'd be like, "Can you pray for me?" And it really increased my faith and my I guess my strength and maturity in the Lord too, because like I'm now praying for people. I'm going from somebody praying for me, and now I'm praying for people. And like sometimes I'd be like, "Ooh, what am I doing?" And then Lord be like, "I told you to do it." I'd be like, "Oh, okay." So.
Yep. So let's talk about upcoming projects. So I know for everybody listening, y'all might as well get ready because Treesy is coming out with a spice line. Now I know you got a few things coming up, but let's start with the spice line. What is the name of the spice line? What can we look forward to with it? I'm really excited about it.
So the spice line is Love It Up. Love is the main ingredient because that's what I believe is the main ingredient in any food that you cook. We're going to start with a 5 spice line, and it's kind of going to be. So if you like Treesy's chicken, you're going to get Treesy's chicken season. If you like Treesy's fish, you're going to get Treesy's fish seasoning. We're working on a collard green one. So we're just working on a
Mm.
couple of little, seasonings that you um, can just put into your cupboard, and when you want the food, you don't even have to worry about it. You just come out and sprinkle the spice on it and love it up. Put your little love and touches on it, and then it comes out.
I'm so happy because I know I'm getting all five of them. I'm so happy about that. So, do you have any other upcoming projects as far as catering, possibly a new building?
So we do. We have a couple of things in the works. Just really at this point, really trying to do what I think is going to be best in the upcoming years.
Yes.
And definitely doing it differently. I know that I can't work like I worked before. So, a couple of new and exciting things, some things my kids have been trying to tell me for probably the last 3 years. And, I didn't listen to them, but, your generation kind of, they really do know what they're talking about.
It's
So
never
let's
too
just
late
leave
to
it at
start
that,
listening.
that there are some exciting things coming up for Treacy's.
I gotta make sure I send that snippet to Jasmine. Are you saying you should have listened to them? I'm pretty sure. I'm sure she'll enjoy that.
She will.
So, what inspires you on a day to day basis to not only keep going in your business, but what inspires you to keep going as a mentor for other people that you may not even realize that you're a mentor for, women that look up to you, who know your past struggles and everything that you've dealt with and how you were able to overcome? What inspires you on a day to day basis?
What really inspires me the most is, like I said, my children. They really, 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 really inspire me, and now my grandchildren. And my mother, like, she was a business owner for years. So I look at everything that she went through and how she instilled into us that um, entrepreneurship is really attainable, and it is something that you don't want to work for somebody else, is what my mom always told us. That's the way that she taught us, that you want to be the creator of your own business. So that really inspires me. It also inspires me that that every trial that I went through and everything that I went through was to help someone else.
Mm.
Now that I know that, but as I was going through the trials, especially in my earlier years, I didn't realize that. I remember crying one Sunday in church, and don't y'all laugh at this. Crying one Sunday in church, and I got up and I testified and I said, just because, I've been saved since I was 13. Didn't live always right, I'm gonna tell you that. But I remember getting up and I remember saying, because everybody was talking about their testimony, stuff that they had been through. And at that point, I had been married for, I want to say, a year. And I opened my mouth and I said, Lord, please I just want the Lord to give me a testimony. That's what I
Oh
said
my
in my,
God.
it, why did I ever say that? Because now truly
Ooh.
I have so many, many testimonies. And I just know that, that they help other people, things that, like you said, like people that I don't even know, like, that we're watching and they see that really, really kind of inspires me, that even though I'm going through right now, that this is going to be used down the line to, help somebody else, to pull somebody else out, because that is my overall goal. I just want someone to be touched. I want someone to be saved. I want to be able to help someone to better themselves, to get out of the rut that they're in, and know that you come out on the other side and you can make it. You could do
Yep.
whatever it is that you put your mind to.
That's so good. Now, this is a question that I ask all of my guests. Where do you see yourself personally and business wise in the next 3 to 5 years? And you can be as specific or as vague as you want. But where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years?
So in 3 to 5 years in my personal life, and I hope it's not 3 years, because today I want to be married. I have those days where I want to really be married. I want to be married
Yes.
now. I was really good with being single and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, now, I want to be married. So I see myself being married. Um, and personally, just like being very financially debt free, out of debt. I see that in the next 3 to 5 years. And then personally, I mean, for business, I see just great things for Treesy's, like more things than I can ever imagine. One of the quotes, and I'm probably not going to say it right, but there's a quote that says that if your dream doesn't scare you, it
It's
isn't big
not big
enough.
enough. Yep.
Well, my dreams right now are very scary to me, but also it says that what the Bible says, what I imagine, God has way bigger. So that's what
Yep.
really scares me, that the dream that I have in my head right now, to me, is like big. But what he's going to do is going to be even bigger.
Yep.
That scares me.
So, social media, where can people follow you or Tracy's on Facebook or Instagram?
On Facebook and Instagram, we're at Treesy Soulfood Cafe. TREESYS Soul Food Cafe on both. We're not on Twitter because I can't do Twitter.
Me
But
too
on
honest.
Facebook and Instagram, that's where we are. So you can see any of our upcoming things going on. And I just need to put a plug in for my daughter, who told me
Who I
that
need to get on the podcast, but go ahead. I'm gonna get her.
who would always say to me, when, especially in the beginning of the business, when, especially if we was having an argument or something, she would say, "This isn't my dream. This is your dream." Oh, well, okay. Tracy's is not what I want to do. Well, now she's Pretty Plates by Jazz, and you can't tell
Yes.
me that she didn't. She came in at the right time,
Yes,
picked
she
up, and
did.
became like my right hand. And when I tell you that the girl can cook, and not
Yes.
only can she cook, she can decorate. She can make your car look like it's like it's a ballroom. That's how good she is.
Yes, she
So
is.
yeah, like that's another, that's another inspiration, and another kind of, just that, she wasn't thinking about doing that. That wasn't her dream. She went to school to be an esthetician, and then out of nowhere she came to work at Tracy's after she had her son, and kind of just, like I said, took over and kind of ran the place. So, there's some great things coming for us collaboratively with me and, both of my children. We're collaborating on a lot of things. So that
Good.
multi-generational thing, that's what we really have, in store for people.
Yes, I just ordered fish tacos from Jasmine yesterday. I went and picked them up yesterday. Let me tell y'all something. This whole family can cook because Mimi, that's Tracy's mom,
Yes.
nobody could cook some roast beef. When I say that
Nobody.
thing melts like butter in your don't even get me started. Anyway,
People try to fake me out and make me think that mine tastes like hers, but I know it don't taste like
don't
hers. It's just that
nobody's roast beef taste like
extra
Mimi's.
something she put in
Yep.
there.
It's so good. But yes, make sure you follow Pretty Plates by Jazz on Instagram as well. I'll have all of their social media down below as well. So make sure you check them guys out and support. If you're in South Jersey, if you're in Philly, you're close enough. Check them out and order some food. Order Jasmine for catering, Tracy for catering, Jasmine to decorate. Trust me, you will not be disappointed at all. You will not be disappointed. So I'll make sure I have all of their information down below. Tracy, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Shay, for having me. Like I said,